Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. As chair of the commission, I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 10 a.m. The Zoom webinar is live streamed on our YouTube channel. For anyone in the public watching who would want to watch via a different platform than they are currently using, please visit our social media at Redistricting MI. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation, along with Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services will be provided for effective participation in today's meeting. Email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations should also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC for viewing at a later date. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those closed caption transcripts will be made available and posted on the michigan.gov/MICRC website and written public comment submissions. There's also a public comment portal that may be accessed by visiting the michigan.gov/MICRC. This portal can be utilized to post maps and comments, which can be viewed by both the commission and the public. Members of the media who may have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Executive Director for the Commission at woodse3@michigan.gov or 517-331-6309. For the public watching and the public record, I will now turn to the Department of State staff to take note of the commissioners present this morning.
Good morning, commissioners. Please say present when I call your name and let us know where you are attending remotely from. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Doug Clark.
Present, and I'm attending today's meeting from Rochester Hills.
Juanita Curry.
Present, and I'm attending today's meeting from Detroit, Michigan.
Anthony Eade.
Good morning. Virtually attending today from Detroit, Michigan.
Brittany Kellum. I thought Brittany was present. One moment. She may have left temporarily. I'll return to her. Rhonda Lang.
Present, attending from Osceola County, Michigan.
Steve Lett.
Present, attending from Lee County, Florida.
Cynthia Orton.
Present, attending remotely from Battle Creek, Michigan.
MC Rothhorn.
Present, attending remotely from East Lansing, Michigan.
Rebecca Satella. Janice Follett. Janice.
Hi, present, attending remotely from Highland Township, Michigan.
Aaron Wagner. Richard Weiss. Richard. Looks like Richard may be experiencing technical difficulties. Richard, can you hear us?
Yeah, the screen just froze up a little bit here.
Oh, no. Richard, you might try.
Attending remote Township, Saginaw, Michigan.
Great. Okay. Dustin Witches.
Present, attending remotely from Tuscola, Illinois.
10 commissioners are present and there is a quorum.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. As reminders to the public watching, you can view the meeting agenda at michigan.gov/MICRC. I would now entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda. Motion made by Commissioner Curry,
Mhm.
second by Commissioner Rothorn. Is there any debate or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, is moved and second that the agenda is adopted. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. All right, meeting is adopted. Meeting agenda is adopted.
Chairman Witches, this is Edward. Just a question with regards to the letter that was submitted
Go ahead.
as to the commission's wishes.
Oh. We received a letter that may warrant some discussion. It was sent to all of our emails this morning. I leave it up to anyone here to decide if it's something that we should add to new business to discuss, or if it is something we should handle at the end of the meeting. When we talk about
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I did not receive this letter that you're speaking of, so I do not know the contents of it.
Edward, would you like to elaborate? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Great. This letter was submitted by Access this morning, and then I forwarded to the commissioners at about 9:48 a.m. And what they're asking for is, and I'm going to read it off the screen, to submit a comment to the Federal Register in support of the Office of Management and Budget proposed changes to Statistical Policy Directive 15, which would combine the race and ethnicity question with the inclusion of a MENA, which is Middle East and North African category, would be a summary of what they're asking for.
All right, now we can either have a motion to amend the agenda to add it under new business, or keep the agenda as is and handle it when we get to correspondence.
Mr. Chairman,
I move,
I would move to add this to the agenda.
Okay,
Second it.
moving to add the discussion on the letter by Access to.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I
go.
thought that all pertinent, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought all pertinent information for the agenda is to be subjected to us 24 hours in advance so we can review it if we have any questions. So I would be opposed to this. Based off our rules, all things that are supposed to be brought up and put on the agenda, especially when it relates to something else, we're supposed to have 24 hours so we can review the documents. And if there's any questions, get clarification.
Okay. Commissioner Lang does indeed have a pretty good point, and that's my feeling as well. But Ms. Randard?
Just noting for the record that Commissioner Satella has joined the meeting at 10:11 a.m. Commissioner Satella, can you tell us where you are attending remotely from?
Sure, Wayne County, Michigan.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or debate on this motion? Okay. Commissioner Satella.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just joining, so I'm trying to catch up. So this is the letter about adding Middle Eastern to the as a census category.
Yeah, we're having a motion to see if we want to add it to the agenda as a new business item or discuss it during the correspondence section.
Okay, thank you. No further comment then. I wasn't sure if you were actually voting on it or if it was just to add it to the agenda.
Yep. Any other debate or discussion? All right, the motion made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Orton, I believe it was. Curry, Commissioner Curry. All in favor on adopting the agenda, raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed say nay.
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 Did you get a count on that, Sarah?
Can the nays raise their hand one more time?
Since I'm attending by phone, I'm a nay. This is Commissioner Lang.
Okay. So that would be 6-5. Am I counting that correctly? MC's nodding. Okay. So the motion does not carry.
Okay. All right. Moving on in our agenda into public comments. Without objection, we will begin public comment pertaining to the agenda topics portion of our meeting. Hearing no objection, we will now proceed with public comment. Individuals who have signed up and indicated that they would like to provide live remote public comment to the commission will now be allowed to do so. I will call your name and our staff will unmute you. If you are on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you are on the phone, a voice will say that the host wants you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. I will call you by name or by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Also, please note that if you experience technical or audio issues or we do not hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we will move on to the next person in line and then return to you after they are done speaking. If your audio still does not work, you can email redistricting@michigan.gov and we will help you troubleshoot so that you can participate in the next public comment period or at a later meeting. You'll have 2 minutes to address the commission. Please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer. First in line to address the commission is Mr. Anthony Scannell.
Hello, MICRC. Thank you. Well, in terms of that correspondence you got, well, I guess you didn't add it, or it was a tie. I don't know. I didn't pay attention, whatever, to it didn't get added to the agenda, but you already have correspondence on the agenda. So, I mean, I think you could bring it up then, but anyway, to the point of this, I don't know if it would relate to agenda item. You say election of the chair and vice chair. So I don't know if that's going to be happening again, but in so doing, great consideration might be a party affiliation of a commissioner that you would choose for that. And I'll just speak from as a voter or citizen, you know, I see party affiliation is very significant as a way to judge, you know, the actions and character of a person. I mean, I look at the 2 major parties that we have, and if I see as it said in the Constitution, affiliate. If you affiliate with these 2 major parties, I mean, I kind of just look at you as a person that overlooks corruption and you doesn't have a lot of original thoughts. But anyway, my question, I guess, would be for the council. What is the meaning of affiliate with the party, since we don't have party registration in Michigan and by voter registration? And then for the council, say a commissioner wanted to change their party affiliation, how would they do that? With whom would they file notice? And would that affect their standing on the commission, given that there has to be a certain number of party affiliates if they wanted to change their affiliation? Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the commission. The next individual to address the commission is Mr. James Gallant.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, this is James Gallant, Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition. These are my opinions. And good questions, Anthony. Yep, keep it up. And I'd like to make a prediction that within 6 months, our case and controversy here about the Robert's Rules of Order, the Rules of Procedure, and Secretary of State's Benson's absence from these proceedings will be front and center of our debate on how to save our democracy from the hostile actors who would want to change the fundamental principles of parliamentary law in the United States of America, which is Robert's Rules of Order and our constitutional republic. Now, please take note that the Secretary of State staff took note of the members present. Yet the Constitution says the Secretary of State, Joyce Benson, shall take the roll call and do the roll call votes. So she hasn't been doing any of that. I think she's only done the roll call once since the beginning of this. And so please consider requesting from the State Director of Personnel, I just talked to them, and a training for Robert's Rules of Order of what that actually means. Like page 3666, line 8, there shall be no debate before there's a motion is properly seconded. Dustin Witches, as a citizen of the Netherlands, is not doing that. He is doing a different form of government here. And the Auditor General, please ask him to finish his audit. He didn't do the procedural audit part of it, which Edward Wood stated on the record that he was going to identify the rules of procedure and ensure that you followed the rules of procedure, and he didn't do that. And please, by resolution, ask him to finish that and to keep that going. So, yeah, Secretary of State Benson, where is she? She was supposed to answer about right now, about adding to this agenda and notice to the meetings about to get on the agenda. That was Secretary of State Benson, legally under the Constitution, was supposed to answer those questions because she's the Secretary of State, 43rd in our country, right? So here we go. So this is just another one. She's just another one. She doesn't get to just make it up as she goes and then disregard the way we do it in America. You know, Robert's Rules of Order. The Secretary of State, I'm assuming, has a working knowledge of Robert's Rules, and she should.
Thank you for addressing the commission. That concludes your public comment. Please feel free to email public comments to the commission at redistricting@michigan.gov. We appreciate everyone who offers public comment in whatever way you choose and invite you to keep sharing your thoughts, especially if you'd like to share ways the MICRC processes or procedures can be more effective. Next on our agenda is unfinished business agenda item 5A, fiscal year 23 budget impasse. Without objection, I will ask attorneys David Fink or Nate Fink to present this item. Hearing no objection, please proceed. Mr. Fink.
Thank you, Chairman Witches. Good morning to all of you. It's nice to see you all. I hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to take this opportunity and thank you for the opportunity to provide you with just a very brief update as to where we are on the funding issue. As I'm sure you're all aware, we filed the lawsuit back in December against the prior legislature because they failed to comply with their constitutional obligations to appropriate the funds for the commission's operations. We filed the lawsuit, and relatively shortly thereafter, certainly in the context of typical litigation speed, I would say, the legislature, the current legislature finally did appropriate all of the funds that we had asked for. And we have now agreed to dismiss the lawsuit. There had been questions raised about whether we could try to do anything in the context of that lawsuit to prevent this from happening again in the future. Unfortunately, because fortunate that the legislature ultimately fulfilled its obligations and appropriated the funds as it was required to do. But given the rules that we all work under in terms of the court rules and how litigation proceeds, there's really nothing else that we could do to try to get some kind of ruling from the court to order the legislature to comply with its obligations going forward. And so we were sort of in a circumstance where we had to go ahead and dismiss the lawsuit. But we are certainly aware of this issue and cognizant of it going forward. We want to do whatever we can to try to prevent it from happening again in the future to this commission or a future commission. To that end, we, at the direction of Executive Director Woods and Commissioner Lett, when we spoke with the Attorney General's office about dismissing the case, we did raise the issue of the fact that the current budget request for the next fiscal year does not include the commission. And we raised that and expressed that that's a very significant concern. The Attorney General's office was not able to provide us with any information as to what the legislature's intentions are going forward. We are hopeful that ultimately when the legislature considers the budget for the next fiscal year, that they will fulfill their obligation and in fact appropriate the funds that have been requested by the commission, which is, again, from our perspective, very clear obligation under the Constitution. But we did raise that issue with the Attorney General's office, who are, of course, representing the legislature in the lawsuit that we filed and are responsible for communicating with the legislature in that context. So with that, like I said, I wanted to just provide the commission with that update. I'm happy to address any questions that anybody might have related to that.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Fink?
Oh, I think
Commissioner Clark.
Commissioner Clark's hand is raised.
Yeah, Nate, so what you're saying is we potentially have the same issue in front of us that this coming budget year that we had this previous year.
Well, it's possible. My understanding is as of this moment, the commission's request for an appropriation for the next fiscal year is not included and was not included in the request submitted to the legislature. I believe the legislature has not yet taken up the next fiscal year budget, and so we will see. Like I said, I did raise this issue with the Attorney General's office and asked them to convey the concern to the legislature, to their legislative contacts, and they said that they would do that. As the commission is aware, there is still pending litigation, the AG case, AGEE matter, which could certainly still be pending in the next fiscal year. It's hard to predict how litigation may play out, but even frankly, under the best of circumstances, if ultimately the court were to grant the anticipated motion for summary judgment that would be filed on behalf of the commission, there's a good chance that the court wouldn't even enter such a ruling until the next fiscal year. And if the case ultimately goes to trial, that will almost certainly spill out into the next fiscal year. And so there will still be pending litigation in the next year. And so the commission will remain active and will need its appropriation. And the legislature really shouldn't, doesn't, from our perspective, doesn't have any discretion on it. It's a constitutional requirement. So that was a bit of a long-winded answer to your question, Commissioner Clark, but we certainly think that it could become an issue, but we're hopeful that when it ultimately comes to it, the legislature will actually go ahead and appropriate the funds and not require us to file another lawsuit.
And what's the time frame on the legislature addressing the budget? Do you have an idea?
I actually am not sure when they will be taking up the budget for the next year. I think it could be in May, but I would defer to perhaps Executive Director Woods, who I think just unmuted. And
I'm sure the governor presented her budget last month to the legislature. Now it's going through the committee process. So more than likely, we would probably be part of a supplemental if we're not included. Right now, maybe they're just waiting to see what happens with regards to our court cases and what have you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Nate from anyone? Thank you very much for your report, Nate. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission.
Yep. All right, moving on to new business. Our next agenda item is new business item 6A, the Executive Director Part-Time Contract Extension. Without objection, I'll ask Commissioner Steve Lett to present this item. Hearing none, please proceed, Commissioner Lett.
Can you hear me?
You can.
My computer's doing weird things. We have a contract extension for Edward Woods III as Executive Director. And I would ask Edward to explain where we are with his request and extension.
Sure. This is basically extending it for an additional 6 months. The current contract expires March 31st, and it's at the same rate. There's no changes. It's a part-time contract. It's an hourly contract for up to 30 hours a week if needed, but it's usually 20 or less with regards to that. So it's just nothing changed other than the date. It's been reviewed by our attorneys in here, and it's just being brought for the commission's consideration.
I guess I would have a question for you, Edward. Is the time allotted in the contract sufficient now?
Yes.
Okay. Then I would move the extension be approved.
Okay, oh, and Doug, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do have one question. I read through this and compared it to the previous one. My understanding is the only difference is the dates. Where-
Correct.
Yeah, the date where it starts and ends. Okay. Thank you. And I do put forward a motion to approve it.
Motion was made by Commissioner Lett. You want to be the second then, Doug? Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Clark to extend the contract for the Executive Director, Edward Woods the third. Any debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor of the motion, raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
Okay. And it looks like the ayes prevail and the motion is adopted. Okay, next item is the election of a new chairperson and vice chairperson. Without objection, we will proceed with the election process. Seeing no objections, may I take nominations for the chairperson? Commissioner Orton.
I'll nominate Doug Clark.
Doug, do you accept?
I do.
Any other nominations for the chairperson? Okay. Let's see, any questions for Doug? Doug, you want to give a little speech here before we vote on you?
Well,
Opposed?
I've known all of you for a few years, so I think you've pretty well gotten to know me, and I've led a couple of subcommittees, and I have recently been the vice chair and filled in for Dustin a number of times. So that's the basis of what I'd like to present to you.
All righty. Commissioner Lett.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I think I fully agree with having Doug as the chair. I think he'll do an excellent job. I've worked with him over our course of business. I just want to make a comment that it's been suggested we should pay some type of special attention to party affiliation. And I think that I probably have most of the commissioners' agreement that we really don't pay a lot of attention to party affiliation. We have acted as a group that is all on the same page to do the best that we can in redistricting, and have done that regardless of who sits in the chair and regardless of party affiliation. So I want that on the public record that we in fact operate as a unified group. We have differences of opinion, no doubt about it, but one of them isn't, are you a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a Green Party, I don't know what other party you want to call it, but I just want that known by the public.
Well said, Steve. Doug, you raised your hand again. Got more to
I
add?
did. Yeah, yes, I did. I agree with Steve. I think political affiliation has been really outside the majority of what we've done over the course of time. The only time we really addressed it was when we put the three-person subcommittees together, and we made sure that we had a Republican and a Democrat and a non-affiliated individual on those committees. And that was more for public perception than anything. So well said, Steve.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Clark, having been nominated for chairperson, he's the only one nominated. However, we still have to go through roll call vote for it, unfortunately. So I will ask Michigan Department of State to conduct a roll call vote with the commissioners voting for their candidate of choice for chair.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, please state your support to elect Commissioner Clark as chair with a yes or a no. A yes vote being to elect Commissioner Clark as your new chair. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Rhonda Lang,
No.
Steve Lett,
Yes.
Cynthia Orton,
Yes.
MC Rothhorn,
Yes.
Rebecca Zatella,
Yes.
Janice Follett,
yes,
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Dustin Witches,
Yes.
Doug Clark,
Yes.
Juanita Curry,
By all means, yes.
Anthony Ede.
Yep, yes.
By a vote of 10 yes to 1 no, Commissioner Clark has been elected the new chair. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Commissioner Clark. And I will repeat the process for vice chairperson of the commission. I will now take nominations for the vice chair. Commissioner Weiss.
Yes, I would like to nominate Cynthia Ortman, please.
I second that.
Okay. Do you accept?
Yeah, I'll accept.
Commissioner Clark.
I was going to make the same nomination.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Do you want to address the commission, Commissioner Orton?
Sure. Same as Doug, we've worked together. I think you know who I am, and I agree that we have not paid attention to party affiliation. So Doug and I are both Republicans, but that hasn't had any bearing on how we have worked together. And like Steve said, we work as a unified body. So I would be happy to do my best as vice chair.
Oh, I think you'll do just fine. Okay. We'll go back to a roll call to elect Commissioner Orton as vice chair of the commission. Ms. Reinhardt, would you start the roll call vote, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, please state your support to elect Commissioner Orton as your new vice chair with a yes or a no vote. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Steve Lett.
Reluctantly, yes.
Cynthia Orton.
Yes.
MC Rothhorn.
Yes, yes.
Rebecca Satella.
Emphatically yes.
Janice Follett.
it's about time, yes.
Richard Weiss.
Yes.
Dustin Witches.
Yep.
Doug Clark.
Yes.
Juanita Curry.
Absolutely, yes.
Anthony Ede.
Yes.
Rhonda Lang.
No.
By a vote of 10 yes to 1 no, Cynthia Orton has been elected the new vice chair. Congratulations.
All right, Doug, you got your agenda handy and all that fun stuff? Are you taking over?
If you'd like me to, it's up to you.
Hey, well, apparently the rules of procedure state immediate transition, so take it away, good sir.
Okay, I will.
We need
So that's,
Cynthia to have a little speech.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pass on the speech today. That continues the new business and that we've done. So we've got to do the approval of the minutes. That's the next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 16th meeting. These draft minutes have been provided to the commission before the meeting and posted on the website. Are there any edits to these meetings? This meeting?
Commissioner Clark, we need to skip that. They were not provided.
Yeah, I was going to mention to you, I had not seen it out on the
There
website.
was a caveat just in case they
We
were.
will we will delay this and put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. Now we move to the executive director report. This is a report from the executive director today. Without objection, I will ask Executive Director Woods to provide his report. Please provide us with the report, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Make sure you guys let me know. Do you see it on the screen? Excuse me. Do you see it on the screen?
Yes.
Perfect. We dealt with the impasse already. We dealt with that, chair and vice elections. Here's the report. Our February report, we're in the process of not getting our bills. The bills we received to date deals with staff salaries, printing, professional services, which is our financials that we do with Insights 3 and commissioners pay. We do not have all expenses, so we have a total of $31,615.09. This will need to be updated, but I just wanted you to know the expenses we have to date. We have sent reminders to our consultants, our legal consultants in particular, and they will be submitting them shortly, but just wanted you to know what we have to date. We're also reconciling to make sure that all of our back bills are allotted to the correct month in terms of where they are from October 1. So you'll get a very detailed 6-month report at our April meeting that outlines everything that has transpired as it relates to commission funding. Highlights from the website. I want to thank Nelson for providing this information. It talks to you about where we are. We're down from January, but 12,625 views. 69% is our final district maps and 13. We do have received, we've gotten some feedback from some of our associations who are interested in having the maps, and the PDFs are not as user-friendly. So we will have picture files of the maps that you've already received and made available to the public so that they can use them for their presentations, for their government and policy committees, so that they can have access for PowerPoint presentations and what have you, who might not have the ability to convert the PDF files. Want to encourage you once again with regards to cybersecurity. I've been working with Kim Metzger and emailing some of you just to make sure our computers are up to date and have the appropriate things run on them. If you have questions, I'm here to help. The help desk is important as well, but just really want to implore each and every one of you as you see these cybersecurity updates and things that we need to do, not just for our computers, but also for our phones to make sure that we're up to date. Our lessons learned report is out on the front page of the website, and it has also been placed in the archives of the state of Michigan. So in addition to our commission report, our maps, our lessons learned report is there as well. Has been spending considerable time on payroll processing, and we'll be making a report at our next meeting with regards to getting those details and how that works. And I want to give a shout out to Skyline High School. They did a report on redistricting for C-SPAN and received honorable mention. Skyline High School is in Ann Arbor area, and they received honorable mention on covering the commission's work on redistricting by C-SPAN. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
It's not so much a question, just a small request. In the future, I guess I know you always do put up a visual when you do your executive director report. Do you think it would be possible to get a copy of that prior to our meetings for those of us that may not be able to attend via Zoom? So we will have, I'm assuming there's figures on there and the stuff in front of us so we can follow along.
Sure. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Suggestion.
Thank you.
You have anything else, Mr. Woods?
Yes, I want to thank the commission for extending my contract. I appreciate working each and every one of you. And I do know and can attest that you worked well together as a team for the betterment of the state of Michigan and its citizens. And I look forward to working with the new leadership, and just thank you. And I want to thank Steve as our legal liaison. He's been very helpful in terms of checking the bills. And so definitely want to thank Commissioner Lett, Commissioner Stephen T. Lett for that, as well as each and every one of you for reaching out and your kindness and professionalism in moving the commission's work forward. It's truly an honor and privilege to work for you and serving the citizens of Michigan. So thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Woods, and your work has been very much appreciated by the commission, and we want to note that. There is a legal liaison report, and without objection, I will ask our legal liaison, Commissioner Steve Lett, to provide the report. Please proceed, Commissioner Lett.
Thank you, Doug. Not a lot to report. As Edward has said, we've been really focusing on the new payroll processing, and that's been taking basically all of our time. There's nothing new on the litigation. I'm assuming that many of you have been interviewed by our attorneys, either in person or in by Zoom. Must be it wasn't too bad. You all came back, so that's a good sign. I'll save the rest of my comments for when we do the payroll update from Edward. I don't know if that's coming up next, but if anybody has any questions, it's really been dealing with this payroll issue.
We don't have anything on the payroll on the agenda, so
No, that'll come up next month.
okay, so we'll address that next month.
Well, let me give a little bit of an update. I think you guys have been getting emails. Have you been putting everybody on the emails, Edward?
Yes.
All right, so you understand where the process is, and the thing that was concerning to us, and probably you also, is how are we getting charged 26% or 28% or whatever percent it is for processing payroll? And as we got the numbers back and looked, and I did one of the, oh yeah, we got to pay taxes. And I probably should have known that, since I did that as in my law practice for years, and it just didn't dawn on me that they would include that. I just thought they were using that as their profit, and they're not. So you've gotten the breakdown. We'll talk about it further. We're still working with them through the attorneys to work out the details on the contract. We, as all of you, I think, have said, we don't like this contract, and we're not there. We're their employees for payroll, but we're not their employees for anything else. So we're working through that part of it. So if there are any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them now, but we'll have a better handle on it next month. In the meantime, we're going to continue using Kelly.
Thank you, Commissioner Lett. Or do we have any questions for Commissioner Lett? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the MDOS update. Without objection, I will ask either Mike Brady or Sarah Reinhardt from the Michigan Department of State if they have an update. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Mr. Brady or Ms. Reinhardt.
Hi, Commissioners. I just wanted to say thank you to the Commission and to your Executive Director for working with our office to get your computers updated and connected and in compliance. I know that that's not always the most fun of tasks, to work with your computers and getting them updated, but I really appreciate all of you doing that, and grateful to your Executive Director for helping coordinate that. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Reinhardt? Commissioner Curry.
Yes, it's not a question, Chairperson Clark, but I just want to thank Edward for taking my computer. This is one of the first times I've had my computer with no trouble coming on. And I just want to commend him for a job well done. I mean, I've been having so many problems with this computer that is crazy, but I thank him and whoever helped.
You realize, of course, now it's going to go blank.
I know. Don't you try it. Don't you try it, Steve.
Are there any other commissioners having troubles with their computers or computer equipment? None? Commissioner Lang, you mentioned that you could not see things through Zoom. Are you having an issue?
I'm not on Zoom. I'm on the phone, so no issue.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. If there are no other questions for Ms. Reinhardt, let's move on to correspondence. If there's any was available, it was received in advance of our meeting today, along with any written public comments to the commissioner. Okay, we did receive one issue of correspondence, but not within the 24-hour time frame, as Commissioner Lang noted, and we'll address that next meeting. Moving on to the future agenda items. Are there any agenda items that commissioners would like to have added to the future agenda?
Well, I think at this point, I would like to add the letter that we received to make sure we don't miss it somehow.
Correct.
Because it won't be coming in as correspondence next month. So let's add that for new business next month.
Okay, I agree. Any objection to that? Or any other comments?
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Lang, you have the floor.
Well, you're putting it on there as a discussion on the next meeting. My question is, and like I said, I didn't receive this, but in it, it stated for us to vote about adding certain communities to the census. Is that correct?
I don't believe that's what was stated. I have not received the email as well.
Okay, because I just want to make sure that we stay within our rules as we all agreed to about not supporting or supporting nor not supporting any potential things that may relate to litigation or what have you, as far as being neutral. So without me seeing it, that's where my confusion came from, because I don't know the whole contents of it.
Let's give everybody an opportunity to read through the letter and get their thoughts together, and then we'll have a comprehensive discussion next meeting. Commissioner Zatella?
Yeah, I was just going to add that they're not asking us. They were basically asking us to submit a comment, is what it comes down to, in support of categorizing people of Middle Eastern descent as a separate category, where there would be multiple categories. So if someone's Hispanic and Middle Eastern, they could check both boxes. So that was really just the content of the letter. Is there's consideration of making that change at the federal level, and they were asking us to consider submitting a comment. So that was really what the letter was saying, just for clarification.
So would that not go against our rules? I'm sorry, I'll wait till next month.
Yeah, I was going to say,
mind.
I feel like that's like diving into the letter, but that was just the content of it.
Yeah, let's give everybody an opportunity to read through it, including the individuals that are not here today.
And Edward, was there like a deadline? I thought it was supposed to be time sensitive. So is that accurate?
I did too, but the date wasn't in the letter request.
Okay, thank you.
So I did share that with them and let them know that it could possibly be addressed at the next meeting, but haven't heard back from them during this meeting. And so we're fine just waiting till next meeting. We also got correspondence from, I should say I received an email from Kip Brace with Election Data Services, and he said he would be happy to provide some context to that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Would you ensure that that gets put on the agenda for next month then?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Lang and Commissioner Zatella. Let's move on to announcements. Are there any announcements? None?
I feel like I want to say thank you, Dustin. And I want to say thank you, Doug and Cynthia. Like, it just feels like, right, we're getting good at this. Appreciate you all for like stepping into leadership and retiring from leadership.
Well, Dustin did an excellent job over the past year, both as vice chair and chair. So
I don't know how you folks did it when we were having meetings every day.
Yeah, I think those people that had the vice chair and chair positions had the extra work for sure. And we do appreciate that as well.
There are unique challenges in this phase of our life too. So appreciate y'all doing what you're doing.
Okay, as the items on the agenda are completed and the commission has no further business, a motion to adjourn is in order. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Woods and a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 I did not hear anything. from
Aye.
you, Rhonda. Okay, thank you. Rhonda was an aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. The ayes prevail. The meeting is adjourned at 6 minutes until 11. Appreciate it. Everybody have a good day.